Your brain stored addresses, phone numbers, and faces without needing to consult anything living memory instead of dead files. You might not realize it, but this trained a silent skill, the ability to trust your own mind as the only reliable data. When you memorized your grandmother's home phone number, or memorized the way to school without GPS, your body built internal maps of everything that mattered. It wasn't just memory, it was real intimacy with the world around you. You knew the phone numbers of 3, 4, 5 friends by heart. Not because you had saved them, but because you had typed them so many times that your fingers memorized the rhythm of those numbers. Today, when you forget a number that isn't saved, it's not a failure of your memory. It's just that your brain never needed to train that muscle again. It was replaced by an endless contact list, but devoid of bodily repetition. This type of memory generated a feeling of emotional ownership over information. You carried people inside you. Her phone number was in your head. His address too. When something important disappeared from your memory, you felt as if you had lost a piece of the bond. And perhaps you did, because remembering was a way of caring. This superpower hasn't disappeared, just dormant. If you can still remember an old number, a childhood address, or the full name of someone you met years ago, it's because that information was imprinted on your body with real attention. It wasn't a backup, it was presence. You lived in the moment with your eyes wide open because there was no second chance to capture everything in a photo. This meant your body learned to absorb experiences through direct vision, not a screen. When you were at a party, on a trip, or simply watching the sunset, your eyes registered it as something unique because it truly was. There was no option to revisit it later. So you looked with more weight, with more focus, with more intention. This mindfulness wasn't efforted, was automatic. Your brain knew that this moment wouldn't be stored anywhere but in your own memory. So it triggered a much deeper kind of emotional recording. You could smell, hear, feel the air temperature. Everything came together in your memory, forming a three-dimensional experience. Today, the same scene would be captured in dozens of photos, but few would be truly felt. There's something curious about this. You probably remember moments that were never photographed in more detail than events that were documented. Because in those moments without a camera, Ira for camera, his whole body was present, capturing everything. And the hidden superpower there is simple. You know how to be truly present when you need to be. You don't need external proof to validate that something happened. You trust your own experience. This way of life left deep marks. If today you feel a certain nostalgia when looking at old photos, perhaps it's not just longing for the past, it's longing for the way you were Levechi past, with whole eyes, with a present body, with an active memory. This superpower still exists within you. It just needs to be remembered. His hands knew how to type numbers from memory without looking up muscle memory that almost no one has anymore. This wasn't just mechanical skill. It was a form of physical connection with information. Each number had its own rhythm in his fingers, a sequence of movements that the body recognized even before the mind processed it. When you dialed someone important's number, your hands already knew the way. It was like playing a song you'd memorized automatic, fluid, without thinking. This type of memory created a bodily intimacy with communication. You didn't just know the number I felt it was at your fingertips. And that created a kind of physical connection with people and places. Dialing was a repetitive, almost meditative act. There was something comforting about knowing exactly how many times your finger would spin on the dial, or in what sequence your fingers would dance on the numeric keypad. It was predictable. It was yours. Today, you'll tap a name on the screen and the call happens. Quick, practical, but empty of substance. There's no movement to memorize, no rhythm to internalize. And perhaps that's why you feel you've lost something. Not the practicality, but the physical presence in the act of connecting. Your body no longer participates. It only observes the screen doing the work. And this changes the way you relate to your own memory. It has become passive, deposited elsewhere. The superpower here is subtle, but powerful. You are trained to incorporate information into your body, not just your mind. This gave you a rare ability to remember through movement, repetition, and gesture. If today you can still memorize passwords, unlock patterns, or routes without much thought, it's because that muscle never died. It just changed location, and it continues to function silently. If you've noticed this way of reacting in yourself or someone close to you, right? This sounds like me. This helps this video reach more people who think and feel similarly. You recognize voices on the phone within the first 2 seconds, without a name on the screen telling you who it was. This required an auditory attention that is almost obsolete today. Your brain needed to identify timbre, rhythm, intonation all in fractions of a second, and you did it without conscious effort. A simple hello is enough to know if it was your mother, your friend, or a stranger. This ability wasn't special. At the time, it was necessary. But now, looking back, it was a kind of sensory superpower. When you answered the phone without knowing who it was, your body entered a state of immediate active listening. There was no prior emotional preparation. You didn't know if you were going to hear good news, a debt collection notice, or just someone wanting to talk. So you learned to read emotions in the voice: hesitation, joy, haste, tiredness. All of this became evident in the very first sounds, and your brain processed this quickly, adjusting its own emotional posture in real time. Today, when you see the name before answering, you already know how to feel. You've already decided whether or not to respond. You've already prepared the energy you'll use in the conversation. This is practical, but it also robs you of daily practice in spontaneously reading people's emotions. You've stopped exercising your ability to recognize emotional nuances just by sound. And perhaps that's why some conversations seem shallower, because you already know too much before you even begin. The hidden superpower here runs deep. You've been trained to really listen not just words, but intentions, emotional states, pauses, breaths. You learn to interpret the invisible through the audible. And if today you can still tell when someone is lying by their voice, or when an everything's fine isn't really fine, it's because that internal radar was never turned off. It just lacked practice. Your body created rituals of presence. Being together was the only way to share experiences. There was no way to send a photo of where you were, or record a video of what was happening. If you wanted someone to know, you needed to tell them in person or wait until you met again. This made each encounter denser, more laden with accumulated stories. You kept things to tell, and the act of telling, face to face, created a real exchange of energy, attention, and presence. This way of life created a kind of hunger for physical presence. You valued being together because you knew that moment was irreplaceable. You couldn't recreate it from a distance. You couldn't send it later. Either you were there or you missed out. And that made your body learn to inhabiting the shared space in a much more intense way. You listened more, observed more, felt more, because you knew that it wouldn't happen again. Today, you could be at a table with friends and at the same time talking to 10 other people on your cell phone. You can share a moment while it's still happening, but without truly experiencing it. And perhaps that's why you feel that gatherings have lost their weight, lost their depth. It's not the people's fault, it's that presence has been done. You no longer need to be there. Align each encounter, because there are always other ways to connect afterward. The superpower here is rare and valuable. You know what true presence is? You lived in a time when being together was essential. Irafa, experience not just the setting. And if today you still feel a clear difference between chatting on WhatsApp and chatting in person, it's because your body remembers. It remembers the weight, the exchange, the energy that only happens when two bodies share the same space and time without a screen in between. You memorized routes, landmarks, and urban details. Your internal GPS was constantly being trained. There was no robotic voice saying, "Turn right in 200 meters." You needed to pay attention. That bakery on the corner, the crooked lampposts, the yellow house, the traffic light after the bend. Your brain built complete mental maps full of visual details that served as memory anchors. And it wasn't just about getting somewhere, it was about to know the real place. Each time you took a new route, Your body became more alert. You observed everything: street names, numbering, facades, trees, and on the way back, you tested your own memory. Do I remember how to get back? This constant exercise kept your spatial orientation active, alert, confident. You knew where you were in the world, not because an app told you, but because your own body had mapped it out. It was a form of silent belonging. You lived the city. She didn't just pass through it. Today, you can go to a place 10 times and still not know exactly how to get there without GPS. Because you follow instructions, you don't build routes. Your brain has stopped actively registering space. It only obeys external commands. And perhaps that's why you sometimes feel a strange disconnection from the places you pass through, as if you'd never really been there, as if the path hadn't been imprinted on you. The superpower here runs deep. You've been trained to navigate on your own, not just geographically, but emotionally as well. You learn to trust your ability to orient yourself, to find your way, to not depend on something external to know where you are. And if today you could still manage without GPS, or remember an old route just by feeling, it's because that internal map was never erased. It was only replaced, but it's still there, waiting to be used. Your emotions were more strongly imprinted because they weren't diluted by hundreds of daily clicks. When something important happened, a disappointment, a joy, a surprise, you could immediately unload it in stories, posts, or messages. You needed to feel that whole thing without rushing to transform it into content. And that allowed emotions more time to settle in the body, to be truly processed. There was no digital escape valve. So you learned to carry what you felt until you found someone, or until you could put it into words on your own. This way of living created a kind of natural emotional depth. You didn't spread your feelings in small daily doses. You accumulated them, reflected on them, let them mature. And when you finally spoke about something you had experienced, it had already gone through layers of internal processing. It wasn't an immediate reaction. It was a digested feeling. And this made your emotions denser, more your own, less dependent on external validation to exist. Today, you can feel something and seconds later have already posted about it. The emotion becomes content even before it's fully felt. And perhaps that's why you have the feeling that things don't leave as much of an impression as they used to be, because they don't stay inside you long enough. You externalize them too quickly, and what should be internal processing becomes a public performance. It's not that you feel less, it's that you distributes more, and that dilutes it. The superpower here is delicate, but essential. You know what it's like to feel without needing to prove you felt it? You lived in a time when emotions were private by default, shared only when they truly mattered. And if today you still keep certain things to yourself, if you still prefer to process them alone before speaking, it's because your body remembers. It remembers that deep feelings require silence, time, and inner space, not likes, not comments, not immediate validation. You developed a natural bodily patience, waiting, observing, absorbing without the rush to record everything. When you were at a show, a party, or simply seeing something beautiful, there was no impulse to grab your phone and record it. It was there, and this trained a rare skill, the ability to tolerate an action. You didn't need to do anything with that moment other than live it. You didn't need the capture, edit, post, or check reactions. Your body learned to rest in a pure experience without turning it into a product. This patience extended to other areas of life. You waited for the bus without checking your phone every 10 seconds. You waited in line at the bank without distractions. You waited for someone to arrive without texting, "Where are you?" every minuti. And in those small moments of waiting, your brain did something important. It simply existed. She processed scattered thoughts, observed people, and created internal connections. There was room for boredom, and boredom, curiously, generated creativity, reflection, and silent presence. Today, every empty second is filled with screen time. You no longer wait. You can submesh while you wait. And perhaps that's why you feel that time passes faster, but also more emptily. Because you no longer inhabit the intervals. You fear them. You fear them. And in doing so, you lose the chance to let your mind wander, to observe the world without intention, to simply be without purpose. Bodily patience has been replaced by constant stimulation, and that's tiring even if you don't realize it. The superpower here is invisible, but powerful. You know how to be alone without needing external distractions. You've been trained to tolerate emptiness, waiting, silence. And if today you can still be alone without your cell phone or watch something from beginning to end without pausing, it's because that patience was never completely erased. It was only challenged, but it's still there, waiting to be honored again. If this explanation has made things clearer about your personality, please comment. Now I understand better. Your participation strengthens this self-awareness community. Your brain decided what was worth remembering, an active internal filter instead of passive external storage. There was no way to save everything, so you had to choose. And this choice wasn't conscious, it was automatic, based on emotional relevance. Your brain registered what touched you, what scared you, what truly made you happy. The rest simply disappeared, and this created a much cleaner, more meaningful mental library. You weren't carrying around informational garbage. Only what truly mattered remained recorded. This natural filter protected your mind from overload. You didn't need to decide what to delete, what to archive, what to keep. Your body did it all, on its own, in the background, effortlessly. And the criterion was simple. Did this really affect me? If yes, it stayed. If not, it disappeared. This made your memory more emotional than factually you remembered how you felt, not necessarily all the details. And this, curiously, made the memories more live because they carried emotion, not just information. Today, you save everything: screenshots, photos, messages, videos, links. But when you go looking for something, you can't remember where you saved it because you didn't process it emotionally. You just filed it away mechanically. And perhaps that's why you feel like you have thousands of records, but few real memories. Because memory isn't about the quantity of data, it's about the depth of impression. And a deep impression only happens when you feel not, when you just save. The superpower here is subtle, but vital. You know what truly matters? Your brain has been trained to select, prioritize, and discard the irrelevant. And if today you can still remember moments that were never photographed, but forget things you posted last week, it's because your internal filter continues to function. It knows the difference between real experience and empty records, and it chooses to keep only what has true emotional weight. You still possess a rare superpower, three-dimensional memory of experiences that never became data. These memories aren't on any server, in any cloud, in any external file. They exist only within you, complete, alive, untouched by digital technology. And that's why they have a different quality. You're in a way that no photos saved on a cell phone ever will be. You built them with attention, presence, and time. They were etched onto your body, not a device. And that makes them irreplaceable. When you revisit these memories, it's not like opening a photo folder. It's like entering an inner space that you yourself built, brick by brick, sensation by sensation. You remember the smell, the temperature, the feeling on your skin, the background sound. You remember how us at that moment, not just of what happened. And that creates a deep connection with your own past. You don't observe the memory from the outside, you inhabits again from the inside. This type of memory can't be accidentally deleted, can't be lost if your phone breaks, can't be forgotten because you switched accounts. It's anchored within you, and perhaps that's why you value certain old moments so much, because they are living proof that you were truly present. You didn't just record, you lived in. This left marks that no algorithm can reproduce, no backup can replace. The ultimate superpower is this. You know the difference between living and recording? You understand the weight of an experience felt with your whole being, without mediation, without the rush to transform it into content. And if today you miss that way of living, it's not empty nostalgia, it's a true recognition of something that was lost. But it's also a reminder that way of being in the world still exists within you, It just needs to be chosen again. And you can do that at any time. Perhaps you've noticed throughout this video that we're not just talking about technology or nostalgia. We're talking about a way of life that was silently replaced and that left deep marks on those who lived it. You didn't just lose the ability to memorize numbers or roots. You lost a way of be present which was practiced every day without you knowing. And now, looking back, perhaps you understand why certain things seem shallower, faster, emptier. But here's the secret. These superpowers haven't disappeared. They still exist within you, dormant, forgotten, replaced by practicality, but not erased. You can still choose to live a moment without recording it. You can still memorize something important instead of saving it. You can still wait without filling the void with distraction. You can still feel without transforming it into content. These abilities haven't died. They've just become unnecessary. And perhaps it's time to bring them back, not as an obligation, but as a conscious choice. The world has changed, and there's no going back. But you can decide, in small moments, how you want to inhabit your own life. You can choose presence instead of recording. You can choose living memory instead of a dead file. You can choose to feel fully instead of sharing halfway. And when you do that, you're not being nostalgic, you're being holy, or honoring a superpower that you've always carried and that the digital world tried to make you forget. Have you ever noticed this type of behavior in yourself or someone you care about? Share your experience in the comments. Sometimes, just reading similar stories makes us feel much less alone. If you enjoy content that reveals the hidden superpowers in your personality, subscribe to the channel. Here, we look at common daily habits with a calmer, deeper, and more human perspective.